gang. Well, let's see. It's
Hey.
been three months since y'all seen my pretty mug. So welcome back to Behind the Fiends.
Hello.
See if I can remember how to do all this. It's been a while. So sometimes they say it's like riding a bike. It's not
Riding a
really.
bike.
But if y'all don't know who I am, John Evans. I'm kind of a nobody, just your mild-mannered YouTuber. Then we have Steve Merlo, film director,
Howdy,
film
howdy.
writer, pretty good guitarist too from the BC province of Canada. Then we have Miss Emily Ann Fraser, who is in Steve's new movie, The Unseen. You played a part of Amy, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. My Alzheimer's hasn't caught up yet. And then we have Mr. Adam Ginsberg, who plays the voice of the unseen man. How y'all doing?
Doing great, thank you.
Not
Thank
too
you.
Good
bad.
to put a face to the voice.
He's no longer unseen. Spoiler.
Yeah,
There
wow.
you go.
Let's hopefully it
I'm
didn't
just,
spoil.
I'm just going to let you all roll with this because I'm interested to know, Steve, where you're at with the film, what's going on with the film, what's going on in all your all's lives in terms of this movie.
Yeah, sure. It's been quite a roller coaster, this movie. We finished filming over a year ago, and then post-production happened. And I had to basically do most of that myself. I had to get a new computer, which I'm on right now, which I'm loving this new computer. It helped me edit the film, and I did all the Foley and I did a lot of pickup shots. And the movie's now complete. We have a completed film.
Hey.
Scored the movie as well. Had Adam do a ton of voiceover work for me, which was great. Made him work. Really made Adam work because he had a pretty tough voiceover to do, and I'm sure he'll tell you a little bit about that. But we got to the point where the film was more or less done, and recently we had an offer for distribution, so we're pretty excited about that. It's not a done deal yet, but we're looking to try to get it finalized sooner rather than later, and hopefully we get this movie out there into the world, and hopefully a lot of people will see. We want to try to get this movie out there so a lot of people can see it, and go as many avenues as possible, and yeah, we're really excited about it at the end of the day.
Yeah. Well, if I may, Steve, I mean it's a really cool idea, and I find that it's kind of trending somewhat, these slasher films from the perspective of, the bad guy. I just watched Presence, similar kind of idea. So I do feel like this kind of style is trending.
Oh, that's cool. That's good to
yeah.
know.
Yeah, I think you nailed it.
I hope so. As I'm always kind of worried with modern audiences wanting to go for, the Terrifier type movie, and those, as great as popular as those movies are, they're not the types of movies I make. The over the top gore. I'm not saying I would never make something kind of like that, but it's not really my style. I don't do a lot of gore in my films. I've never wanted to, and some people just don't like that, especially a lot of modern audiences. So the gore in this film is pretty tame, I would say, for the most part. So to be expected, I would think, for this type of movie that was, very heavily inspired by a lot of 1970s style movies that didn't have a lot of gore themselves either. So,
well, just to put it into perspective, Steve, how much budget money did you spend on fake blood?
not a lot.
A lot.
I mean, the biggest budget went to a special prop that was I could be considered gore, I guess you could say, because this prop had to be made with special materials. So that was somewhere around $1,000 basically. That one thing cost me around $1,000, but the fake blood I made with whatever fake blood we had. I basically made with corn syrup, chocolate, and food coloring.
Chocolate.
Yeah.
I've
So,
I've got him in my closet over here. I have probably part of his budget of fake blood in a
that's
butcher's apron for his Sawyer Massacre movie. It's still rather sticky too. I take it out every now and then to show people, just kind of weird them out, and yeah, it's real sticky.
that definitely
Gets on your
had
hands
more
a lot.
blood in it. But even the Sawyer Massacre, we didn't use that much. But the SFX artist was right on set with us, and I think he had 2 buckets, but he only used about half of one, I think. So we even were pretty tame in that regard.
Is this similar to the first rend? No, it's two. There's 2 separate movies. There was
Okay.
one from 2016, I believe, and then
that's-
yours is.
That was Paul Sawetsky. He actually shot our promotional teaser for Unseen that we did for Indiegogo. So
Oh.
hey, Paul, I didn't expect you to be in here. He's local too. At least I think he's still local. I think he's still in Kelowna. So is
Very
it
cool.
similar to my first rendition of Unseen? It definitely, it does have some of the same story beats for sure. I think pretty much everything that was in that short film is in this film, but there's just so much more added to it. So,
My apologies. I thought he was talking about the movie. I think it came out in like 2016. It was called Unseen. It was a little more big budget. I think.
No. Oh, see, our movie came out in 2016 as well. The short film. It was a short film. It was made for under $1,000, but it did come out in 2016. So maybe there's another one in 2016. I don't know. There's been a million of these movies called Unseen, so it's easy to get confused. That's for sure. But
well, that answers my question then, because I thought it was like a big budget movie. Because when I would pull yours up, I would see this other movie.
Yeah,
and I was like, well,
that film comes up.
No, there was one a couple years ago released by Blumhouse called Unseen, and that I never saw it, but that would have been bigger budget. Eduardo Guerrero, hey man, how you doing? It's been a while.
What was the question I was going to ask? Tell you, I'm getting close to 50 and mine's just going.
We can't give any spoilers. That's always kind of the thing when we talk about this movie. It's so hard not to give spoilers.
Is it a secret that a lot of people die?
We can. People die. It's a horror film. There are characters that die. We'll say that. How many? Happy Friday the 13th. I see from Eduardo. Hey, happy Friday. What a perfect day to do a podcast.
I was going to say, did you plan that, Steve? That's genius.
I think John was originally making the plans with he and I were kind of doing it together, and it just.
Well, I pitched the idea to you, and I said pick a day, and you said Friday the 13th. So yes, you were the genius in that. Pat yourself on the back.
There you go.
But what's going on, Ed? Nice to see you again, bud. I know the question I was going to ask. The prop that you were talking about. I know you can't tell us what it is, but it sounds like kind of an homage to Black Christmas from the 70s.
Actually, the prop. If we're talking specifically the prop that was expensive, no, that was not an homage to Black Christmas. The prop was actually an homage to Jaws.
Oh,
also a 70s film, but I'll say that was my one homage to Jaws. But the film itself is kind of an homage to Black Christmas from 1974. The film is it was definitely the biggest inspiration behind this film. Certain aspects, like I think one thing that we can say is the point of view of the killer. That was one of the first movies to really do that, and I really liked that idea, and that you never see this killer, and the identity is very, who is this person, and are we trying to in that movie, they tried to make you think it was the boyfriend. And so I definitely have, there's some parallels there for sure. It's not exactly the same, that's for sure. I mean, the killer in our film is not Billy from Black Christmas. That's 100%. It's a very different type of person than Billy was in Black Christmas. So, but yeah, that aspect of, you know, POV from the killer's point of view, and you never fully see him is definitely heavily inspired by Black Christmas. Yeah.
A question
Trailer
for
to
you,
the original.
was did you have any kind of underlying kind of themes? You know how sometimes
Yeah.
it's like a you know, a metaphor for something else. Are you saying something with this film that
Boy, I'm saying a lot with this film. Man, I don't know what I can say here. There's I don't want to spoil too much. Oh man, I want to answer that, Emily, but yeah, I mean, I want to actually give some detail, but if I do, I'm going to be spoiling.
I can come in with an angle.
Yeah,
Can
sure.
you hear me there? I can come in with an angle that maybe won't give too much away, but one of the reasons that I got involved was that I really thought it would be fun for the audience to kind of take a different ride and be in the first person perspective. And when you approached me about, doing the voice for that, I thought that would be really, as an actor, I thought that'd be a lot of fun to do. And as we were talking today, I didn't anticipate it was going to be as physical to do as it ended up being, because there was a lot of there was a lot of physical work in breathing and just the sheer amount, because we worked from a distance. I'm 1,000 miles away from you, and we had Addison jumping in to kind of be, like we were talking today, be your second here to sort of direct me through some stuff and reinforce how our conversations that he was privy to. And it was just a very unique experience. And I kind of knew it was going to be going in for the audience, and I didn't realize it was going to be for me as the performer too, to the extent that it became. So and I see Eduardo said, he can't wait to see it. It is something very, very interesting to see. Let's put it that way. It's definitely one of those, if you just want to, turn down the lights and let yourself go, it can kind of take you there. Is it the blood and gore fest, like you said? No, absolutely not. I don't think this is a case where the story and the approach is not looking for the gimmick of gore. That's what I think would best describe our project here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I would say definitely it's got to be a movie you have to really pay attention to.
Mm-hmm.
If you're gonna pick up everything, and even if you do, there's going to be a lot of stuff you're not going to realize.
Yeah.
Because I'm very subtle in my delivery. I don't want to give everything away. I want you guys to kind of try to put some pieces together if you can, and if you can't, that's what director's commentaries are for, I think. And
well, and also, if I may, just from a technical perspective, I remember on the day, without spoiling anything, just the storytelling aspect and your blocking and how we found ways to tell the story in each scene, just working with the camera was really interesting for me as an actor, because we're so used to acting to another person. So, when we've changed that now and it's all just meta, I second Eduardo. I can't wait to see how this has all come together, because as I said, I was only on set for one day. So I've just seen a little splice of this story. I've read the script, but of course that's never what ends up on screen. And so
exactly.
I'm so interested in how you've taken all these thoughts and how you've put them on a screen for us all to watch. And it's really just one giant puzzle. And so
it is. It's definitely a puzzle, and
yeah.
Hopefully it's more than that
talking.
for people. But yeah, that's always my goal, is get people talking. And even though you were only on set for one day, Emily, your painting was on set for more. Yeah. So I've joked with her about this a few times. The painting of her is going to have more screen time than she does.
My legacy.
But it's effective.
And I've said your character's name more times than I can count. I don't think I've said another woman's name more than my life.
That's not a spoiler. You get that in the teaser trailer, I think. You get a lot of that. Amy, all that kind of
Why,
stuff. It's in
Amy?
the, why, Amy?
I get someone's watching me vibes. Now I got that song stuck in my head from the 80s.
Which one?
What was that? I always feel like somebody's watching me.
I was thinking of a different creeper song, different stalking song. Every breath you... That's another. Oh man, there's some creepy stalking songs from the 80s, eh?
It's like, wow, Sting, you went there, huh? I never looked at that song like that. Now I'm never going to unsee it. So, Emily and Adam, what's your all's background? I think, the people watching, kind of learn about you and other projects you may have worked on, your careers, so on and so forth. Whichever one wants to go first, have at it.
Ladies first, go right ahead.
Yeah, well, actually, it's a really funny story. So I had actually made a film already with Steve. If I was
Very
to
true.
take us way back, to answer your question, first of all, I've been involved in films and acting since I was, 16. I've booked a few commercials, and I make films myself. I'm a writer, director, producer. I've just been doing the craft, working the game, trying to book roles and stuff. There was a bit of a dead period, and I'm sure a lot of actors would speak to this, but when the strikes happened, that killed everybody. I think in indie film and in union world as well. It just got really quiet, and that lent to my agency actually cut me in January. So I went through this period of like, what am I going to do? Like, a lot of us act because it makes our souls happy, but we also act to pay the bills. And when that's not happening, we are forced to look at other things, and then that takes us away from our dreams. But then I realized, I said, you know what? It's not always about getting the money. When I read a script, I feel so light. My soul is just so light. I get to express myself. I get to, take a step out of my own world for a second. And so I realized, I said, it doesn't matter. I just want to act. I don't care. But luckily enough, I literally got signed 3 days ago by a new agency, and she's just been blasting my phone with auditions again. It kind of feels like the industry's back, so I'm just back to it. And then just as for my work, I'm actually a sustainability advisor for Netflix. So I work with the studios. I'm on set constantly. We're currently shooting The Altruists in Vancouver. Actually, that goes to camera on the 1st. So I've just been working, grinding, attending. Vancouver Short Film Festival is happening tomorrow, so I'm networking. I'm meeting people. Running into Steve again was hilarious because I was scrolling through the Vancouver's Actors Guide, and I was like, sure, let me just throw my name in the hat for this project.
There you go.
And we hopped on a Zoom call, and he said, "You don't remember me, do you?" And I had to really think about it, and I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, remember Squamish? We were in a boat together, and it was raining, and it was awful. And I was like, oh man. Oh, that was a really wet and cold day. We had to make love in a car, and it was quite the
remember
memory.
that. My wife still has some words about that, I think.
Wow, really quite prolific.
But yeah, so this film has been a great little, tying that all together, and it was really fun to work with this crew again on set. I had a really good time. They were really professional, and that's kind of where I'm at in my life.
Right on.
That's awesome.
Right on.
Steve the heartthrob.
Oh yeah, right.
That
film's never been released, by the way. I don't know whatever happened to that. I hope it gets released at some point, because, well, I kind of helped write it, and we all kind of co-wrote and directed that. It was a 48-hour film challenge, as I recall.
Yeah.
You said something, Emily, that connected with me in a big way. So one of the things that I found that let's just put it this way, when I got over myself and I got over being embarrassed and a wallflower and actually got up and started performing in front of people and realized I liked it, okay, and that they weren't, because I started with theater, and that they weren't like judging me, they were either liking or not liking this character. And it's interesting because I started out my acting as a masked character, and I did a lot of roles under a mask, and a lot of it was honestly easier for me because it wasn't me per se, you know, and it just helped me to kind of get it going. And it wasn't until I realized that people really were enjoying what I was doing, and I started to become unmasked characters, and they still enjoyed what I was doing, and they were kind of falling in love with these characters or hating the characters. Doesn't matter, whatever it's supposed to be, you know. It wasn't me anymore. And what began to happen is, as I got further into it, and this is where we connect, I began to realize that the the struggles of being Adam Ginsberg were completely alleviated when I was able to unzip him and put this inner self into this other, you know, this other character that someone created, or in some instances maybe that I created. And it was just so free. And it didn't matter if it was you know, I played a lot of the bad guys, I guess, but it didn't really matter whether it was good or bad or indifferent. I really just enjoyed playing something unique. I mean, at one point I was a Sasquatch, you know, in a suit running around in the woods, you know, it really didn't matter. I just wanted to do it, and I loved doing it. So, you know, it kind of started off for me. I was a corporate advertising guy, and I used to enjoy watching films, and I was really big at critiquing and saying what worked or what didn't at home in front of the TV. That was easy, right? But one day, my wife at the time came to me and she said, "I have an idea for a show." And we really didn't know what we were doing. We were rubbing sticks together, and we created this dinner theater show, and we guerrilla marketed. And somehow I ended up playing this part in this show, which again is how I got started into this mask and all. And it really was a lot of just self-training and throwing ourselves into the public. And I remember, you know, it was our company. And I used to say, look, guys, we may not know what we're doing now, but we all know who we're supposed to be. So the moment we jump out of this car, I don't care if we're stopping to order a pizza, you know, you are that character, and we don't stop till we come back. And, you know, it was experiences like that that kind of grew. And, you know, little by little, it became a podcast to support that. And then it became doing voiceover commercials. And then it became producing some other theatrical events. And before long, it was off Broadway. And then it was our production company, Twitch, which works with Steve. You know, creating events, haunted houses, and eventually the Macabre Fair Film Festival, which we produced for, gosh, over a decade or so. We only recently stopped it due to our other line of business, which is taking a lot of our attention right now. So we had to put it on hold. But it's just been quite a ride of, I think, about 40 or so film projects, whether it be acting or producing or otherwise. I just like to do things, and I just like to be a part of it. It really doesn't seem to matter what it is. I just want to be a part of it. And then when the acting comes along, that's, you know, the old feelings of escaping the realities. And, you know, is my life bad? No, but I've had my share of loss and things that I don't want to think about. And these opportunities to get involved with projects are ways to get away from that. So, but that's been, you know, the entertainment side of my life, a number of radio programs I've hosted, and the voice stuff is just a lot of fun. I love playing with my voice. As a young man, I used to listen to a lot of talk radio, and everything from emulating commercials to Howard Stern, the Greaseman, Dr. Demento. You know, I used to just love theater of the mind stuff, and I guess that kind of became no, it's not my first horror role, Eduardo. It's not. But long story short is, it's for me, it's always just been about the fun. And we have a saying that we try to live by in our lives at Twitch, and at the other side of our life, which is Green Trees Company, which is, if we're not having fun, we're doing it wrong. And that's really what it is. And it hurts me when somebody we're working with isn't having fun, and I have to find, as the guy running the ship of something, sometimes you got to find a way to make it true to what it's supposed to be again. And then back to the other side. So the other side of my life at this point is we do have a cannabis dispensary in Tennessee. We have 2 locations. That's Green Trees Company with a Z. And that kind of powers our little projects. And we stay connected with entertainment by getting involved with projects as Twitch Productions, which is our production company, or maybe we're doing our own voiceover commercials or shooting our own stuff or whatever, but we kind of keep the rust off. And our roots actually, Eduardo, are in horror. That's kind of where I started. So whenever there's an indie horror film going on, I have a pretty good network of folks back from the East Coast. Sometimes if we can get involved, we try to get involved, even if it's just, hey, we need a few dollars. If we have it to spare and it can help somebody, then I want to help, certainly helps us to see our logo at the beginning of a film and to have conversations and to be, enveloped in the world, which we have a passion for, which is film. So that's why we do it. And that's why I do it.
Awesome.
Beautifully said. Thank you.
Thank you.
So let me ask you this. This is something I've always wondered, and Adam, I always feel like voice acting is more involved than the physical acting. It just, because you're dealing with things, I don't mean this as a pun, that are unseen in front of you, and you're having to emote while standing in front of a microphone reading off of a script. I mean, is it harder than the actual physical?
So it's a different, it's different. I'm not going to say it's harder, but it's different. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples. So I remember a number of years back, I did a narration of a Holocaust book, and I would have to stop because I would find myself crying, and that wasn't the read. Okay. I remember being in a room full of guys and each of us being in a sound booth, and we could see each other, and we were being pirates in a cartoon, completely different experience than being alone by yourself in a room with your emotions. This particular film, we had some audio and studio issues, Addison and I, and we kept running into issues where I would send Steve content and there would just be something off. It could be a little bit too echoey. It was just something off. So what ended up happening is I went back and I did this many times. I don't even know how many various takes and different things we sent you over a few months.
A lot.
Yeah. But what ended up happening with this one is I found that, believe it or not, most of the performance was done in the dark with no script page in front of me, literally in such darkness that I'm blinking my eyes and I don't see. And it was really just me in my head, just knowing what I was supposed to be bringing. And Addison, off to the side in between takes, reviewing it, and, let's pull this, remember what Steve said, blah, blah, blah. And that's how I performed a lot of this one. And there was another aspect of this that we were talking today, and it wasn't really, I was joking, but it wasn't. What made this particular role very physical for me is Steve had a lot of breathing and different paces of breathing that he wanted done. And in order to do this, I would do sections of slow breathing and then a section of medium and whatever it may be. And what was happening is, because I was trying to deliver it as true as possible, but you're working with the limitations of your physical body, is at times I would have to stop because I was running into hyperventilation and the feeling of passing out. And, when things start to get all pins and needly sort of feeling, you got to kind of take breaks and stop and get the water going and the whole thing. But nothing that I wouldn't do again for the role I've done. I've been in that position before for other roles where I'm off the side of the set, and then maybe I've got to get into something very physical, and I'm off the side of the you can't see me, but before they say go, I'm off, like breathing heavy and getting myself all into it. So I've done those types of things before, and I just kind of, yeah, exactly, lightheaded. that's just kind of what it is. And in terms of the mechanics of what you were asking for, it literally required me to, if I was going to do it in one take the way I was trying to do it, I had to push myself to get to those points. So hopefully it comes out that you really can feel the physicality through the voice of how this person is feeling. And you don't need to see the face to understand the emotions that are going through the character's mind. And obviously, if it's in a first person perspective, and maybe you're in you're in the mood to really delve into a film, perhaps you begin to feel some of that too, which I think is ultimately why you went with the first person in the first place, is to really deliver a feeling.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, one thing we did with the short film, I actually played the killer in the short film, physically and voice, and I didn't like it afterwards. I was not happy with I think I was mostly not happy with my voice, but I even said, after watching it, I'm like, we see too much of me. Like you didn't see my face, but you saw me walking. You could see I was wearing all black, and so you see that I had long hair in certain shots and stuff like that. And I was like, no, we gotta just not show this guy like pretty much at all. And in this film, I physically played the killer a lot in this film, but we had multiple people physically playing, being the physical version of you rather than the voice. But it was just hands and shadows, So that was all we really had was, some there's the hands a lot in the film, a little bit of the arms, but you don't see what this person is wearing, so you don't really get too much of an idea of who this person is, what he looks like, or anything like that. And kind of glad we did that. I kind of wish it wasn't my hands at all in the movie. I don't feel like I'm good with my hands. I don't know, personally, when I can always tell when it's my hands that are on screen.
Easter egg.
I don't know.
You're doing the Ricky Bobby, where you're talking and your hands just go.
I'm trying to like match the what I could. It was tough because we didn't have his voiceover at the time, so a lot of this stuff I'm doing stuff with my hands, and I it's just kind of going off of what's in the script, and so you're trying to match up something that isn't there, and you have to, in post-production, you match it up. So a lot of times I think I said to Adam, this specific line needs to be faster because it's really quick the way we have it in the movie. I think mostly because I just couldn't wait to be done with the shot, with my hands.
Question for Steve: did you run into any limitations making this movie compared to Sawyer, or did you have all the toys you wanted this time, lights, lenses, etc.?
I think the one thing, the one advantage we had on Sawyer Massacre was we had a little bit more people on set, but I did have more stuff to work with as far as lights and lenses. I think I mean maybe not too much more, but a little bit more. And the sound guy we had very capable sound guys for both films. I think Sawyer Massacre, though, we had more people. I think we had lights on this film, but we didn't have enough people, helping us with them, set them up properly and all that kind of stuff. And that takes away, that makes things take more time. If there's one area that might be tough in this film is maybe some of the shots could have been better lit. I'll let you guys make that decision though after you see it. I don't know. For me, I was like, oh, this scene looks a little dark to me. I wish it was a little lighter, but it's a dark film though at the same time. So, but the one thing that I really had on this film that I didn't have on the Sawyer Massacre was the ability to film after the principal photography was done. Because I knew after we'd done filming that there was definitely a bunch of pickup shots that I needed to get that didn't necessarily require actors to be there, second unit type stuff. So I had that ability. I still had the camera. The camera was something I bought. So we used that camera. We got a bunch of pickup shots. There's a lot of stuff that I picked up after the principal photography was done, and I was glad I was able to do that. I didn't have that ability with Sawyer Massacre. We got 9 days to shoot this film, and that's it. So whatever you're missing, if you don't have that ability to pick up shots, I really wish we did, because I think there's a lot of the scenes in the Sawyer Massacre are kind of patchy. Like they feel like they needed something to tie certain scenes together a little bit more, but you get what you get when you have 9 days to shoot a film. It was supposed to be 10 days originally, but we lost one day because they had practically a hurricane going on one day, and there was just no way we were going to film that day. So,
I remember you sending me a rough cut of the movie to look at, because you were like, can you put eyes on this for me? And you were like, just look, I had 9 days to shoot. It's probably not going to be all that great. And dude, for 9 days, I think, but that's just me, I'm probably biased because I consider you a very dear friend. But even if I wasn't biased, I think you knocked it out of the park. I mean,
we did okay. I mean, I'm my own worst critic. I still look at that movie and say, man, there's so many problems with it. But at the same time, we've got positive ratings on IMDb and Letterboxd. I think I don't view the Letterboxd stuff too much, but I think we've had more ratings on IMDb, and it's not like Oscar-winning level. It's not like it's got the highest ratings or anything. It's the between all the people that gave it ratings, it's got an average of 8 out of 10, and IMDb has their weighted mean or something like that brings it down to a 6.3. Last I checked, I don't know what that's all about, but whatever that means, I have no idea how that works, because
well, what I loved about
the opposite. What's that?
I was going to say what I loved about the Sawyer, and I'm sure you didn't love it at the time, was you kind of had to walk in the footsteps of Tobe Hooper. You kind of faced a lot of the things that he was facing, not necessarily all the things he was facing. I mean, you did have more technology at your disposal than he did at the time.
Yeah, but he had more money still. He still had more money than I did. I know it's not a lot of money, but he still had at least a good 80 grand back in 1973, whereas I shot Sawyer Massacre on a production budget of 30 grand in 2022. Inflation and all that, it's
80 grand is probably
handy, but he had more than 9 days, I'll tell you that much. I'll trade all that technology in for like 25 days of shooting. I gladly, because that's where things get sloppy. But anyways, continue your point, John.
I was just saying, you kind of did your movie from beginning to end, from the writing, the production of it, and everything. It was truly a love letter to what Tobe Hooper did, more so than all these big budget studios' attempts at trying to recapture that magic and have failed miserably. Some have got a little closer to the mark than others, but yours, to me, like I said, I'm biased. Okay, guilty as charged, but it still, to me, nailed what at its core that movie was supposed to be.
Well, that's good.
Cannibalistic family out in Texas that's selling people sausage. I mean, that's pretty much all the movie is. It's
people sausage.
You're not trying to reinvent the wheel here. I mean,
it's the meat.
Some different stuff with
it's the meat.
Unlike the Bulgarian chainsaw massacre that we got a few years ago, where they made him into Jason Voorhees and Michael Myers, where he was super OP'd and couldn't be killed, and just
I try not to poop on those films too much, but it's
well, leave that to me. I'll do that for you.
You know what? I can find something good in pretty much every Texas Chainsaw Massacre film. Probably you can find something good in any bad movie. At the end of the day, there's always something that you can find that's positive, and at the end of the day, it's all subjective, and these movies are going to have their fans and their haters. So, I'm glad that Sawyer Massacre did get some fans. I like it for what it is. I wish I could have made it maybe a little bit better, but I'm hard on myself because it was a no budget film. At the end of the day, it was a no budget film, and we've still pulled off something. We still pulled off something that is better than a lot of other no budget films I have seen. I have been forced to watch a few here and there that I'm networking with friends and all that kind of stuff. Oh, check out my film on Tubi, and it's like, okay, I'll check it out, and it's like, oh, I don't want to say anything, but making movies at this level is tough.
It is tough. I wanted to reference actually. Did anybody watch Anora? Because Anora swept house at the Oscars, and they walked in the doors with their $6 million movie that they made, which was pennies compared to their competitors. But that was a win for indie film, I feel, because it was a writer, director, editor, same guy, and he killed it. So, I mean, if anything,
I have to check that out.
Inspiring.
There you go.
I mean, this is totally not in the same genre, but and it's a movie I always reference when I talk to people, and they're like, "Oh, I want to make a movie." Even I've been trying to write one for a while. When you look at Kevin Smith, regardless of whatever you might think of him or whatever, you might like his movies, you may totally hate him. The fact that he made a movie in 1993 about working in a convenience store on $25,000 of maxed out credit cards and family loaning him money. And he went to Sundance with that movie and cleaned house.
Yeah. It's definitely one of very few big micro budget films that made it. There's obviously they're few and far between, and there's probably a million films that have been made at my budget level here, and it's like, but only a handful of them really get anywhere. There's only you could probably count them all in one or two hands. How many have actually gone on to make big money. So I'm always trying to just keep myself humble, and I hope for the best with this movie. I think story matters. I hope that people resonate with the story of this film and see that. But again, I'm biased too. I wrote the movie, so I don't know how people are going to respond to it. So it's not gonna please everybody. I know that, but I do hope for good things with this movie. I've definitely put my heart and soul into it. That's for sure.
So, Emily, I got a question for you. How is it working at Netflix? I bet that's got to be just hectic and just.
Well, I mean, it's tough because I can say some things, but I can't. I can say they're obviously the number one streamer. They were facing
Michelle.
Since they came out, there's tons of competitors. Obviously, the whole world has gone streaming. But they're really organized. There's a department for literally everything, not just on set, but the studio. Everybody works in tandem with everything, and it's a really friendly work environment, to be honest. I've actually never had a better experience working behind the camera than I have working for Netflix.
There you go.
Yeah, just great work environment and atmosphere. The HR department is on top of it. There's never any workplace bullying or any kind of, inappropriate stuff. But yeah, I think that's all I can say to that.
There you go.
I mean, I could say this. They're very ambitious because when you all took on WWE, the wrestling, now, I get it. WWE is very profitable, but I was like, how's this going to work on a streaming service? This is something that's normally on normal television. How is this going to work? And when you look at the numbers for it, it's doing great.
Yeah. They just started playing. I think they started scooping up all the hockey games. Every Monday they stream the hockey games. They're slowly killing cable. They've slit its neck. It's bleeding out. Cable doesn't have much left. And now they've took their sports. But yeah, when I watched Logan Paul versus Mike Tyson, I was like, oh man. And it was like Netflix put their name all over it. Netflix special, the giant event. But I don't know how I felt about that. I was like, this kind of feels like a dog fight. And they took a big pit bull and they put it against this, sad dying little puppy. And I felt like, what have we come to? What are we watching? What is entertainment anymore? This is difficult to watch. I'm trying to eat my
Well,
dinner.
next time you talk to any bigwigs over at Netflix, you tell them I said thank you, because I am a huge hockey nerd. As you can tell, Steve knows I have hockey jerseys all in this closet behind this thing.
Yeah.
And I live in Hawaii, so it sucks to be a hockey nut over here because we get nothing except for LA Kings and maybe Edmonton Oilers all the time, because that's the two hot teams, because Edmonton has Connor McDavid, and because LA King, everybody here is a LA fan of some sort, Lakers or Kings or whatever. Or Vegas Golden Knights is real big here. I forgot to mention them. But I'm like Vancouver Canucks and Carolina Hurricanes, and I can never watch their games over here. So please.
Who
For
are
the
you
love
going
of
for,
God.
actually, in the playoffs right now? Who's your team?
What's that?
I'm asking who he's going for in the playoffs. Is it the Edmonton Oilers or he wants the Panthers?
I kind of want Connor McDavid to get his first cup, because he's essentially the best player in the league, and you get to hold that title, you kind of need the cup to cement that. But also, Canada hasn't won a Stanley Cup in over 30 years, and I think they're due.
Thank you.
So I've enjoyed the Stanley Cup finals. I thought I wasn't going to, because I just figured because Florida plays so dirty. I was like, I watched the whole Hurricanes series. They pretty much bullied the team the whole 5 games. So I was like, Edmonton's kind of finesse and skating, and how are they going to match up? And next thing I know, the other night I'm watching, and a full-scale brawl breaks out where both benches clear on the ice, and Gary Bettman's handing down fines to players. I was like, yes, finally we're getting back to goon hockey again.
Sorry, I didn't mean to take us off topic.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry. Hey, I could talk about hockey all the time.
All good.
Vancouver.
Yeah, speaking of slashing.
Yeah. But, like Emily was saying earlier, you're the genre of movie you're making now with Unseen, it's kind of picking up, a little bit of steam there. I think people are getting a little burned out on the fantastical slasher villain and the gore fest a little bit, which I can understand. Not that I watch the Terrifier movies. I appreciate what they are, but they're just not my bag. And I'm more of a traditional horror guy. I want story over shock value. It's just the way I'm wired with it. But at the same time, I'm also a huge Texas Chainsaw Massacre fan, and that's just shock value. But it was shock value in all the right reasons. Like, people were walking out saying it's the goriest film ever made, and when you go back and watch it, you're like, no. You could actually show this on network.
It feels a lot gorier than it is.
Yeah, like you could actually show this movie on network television today. Maybe not in the 80s, but today.
There you go. Yeah.
But,
Hey, all genres of horror, I think, have their fans to a degree. But, the Terrifier, I tip my hat to the guys making Terrifier. They did the same thing. They had a low budget. They're in that handful of indie filmmakers that got their movie out there and seen by lots of people. Like, the original Terrifier was made for roughly the same amount that I'm making these movies, maybe a smidgen more. I'm not sure, but it's in that same ballpark. And the fact that that they've built the audience they have is pretty remarkable, considering the type of budgets they've been working with, and they've done it all independently, and you definitely respect to that part. They could have probably gone bigger studio film, gotten a studio sold the rights to a studio, and they didn't. They kept all the rights to themselves, and they, raised more money on Indiegogo campaigns and so on and so forth, and gotten their budgets that way. I don't think they've ever I don't think there's ever been a Terrifier film made for over $1 million yet. I don't think so. Double check that if you want, but I don't think any of them have been made for over $1 million yet. So that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a merchandising juggernaut, though. I mean, you can't go nowhere that you don't see action figures, T-shirts, cups, just everything. Yeah. Like, I mean, I enjoy the aesthetic of Art the Clown. I have a little cup over here.
It's very marketable, isn't it? I don't know if they sold their merchandising rights or not. But their filming rights, I know that they've kept. So that's pretty amazing. Just saying.
Well,
I hope I can do that.
Well, Emily, you had a question. I'll bring it back up again. So this Alexi's asking what it is you do at Netflix again.
Oh yeah, I can answer this. So basically, I'm a sustainability advisor. So what we do is we work with productions to ensure that we reduce our carbon footprint and our emissions. So I look at our logistics, I look at our plans, I speak with Alex, I speak with locations, and I make sure that we're not purchasing 6,000 liters of fuel every day and burning it. Because as we know, the film industry is one of the most wasteful industries out there. Because we've got all the money, we just feel like it's a never-ending well of, well, I want this and I want it now and make it happen. Oh, okay, well, that's going to cost a bunch of things and resources. Who cares? And at the end of the day, let's just cut that scene. Okay. So what I do is I just go in and make sure that we're not being wasteful. If catering makes 100 and something meals and we only eat 70 of them, well, we're now donating that to the shelter's wardrobe and making sure that if we're buying all these costumes, we're going to donate them after the show. And so I track and record everything, and I supply the data to the production. I say, this is what we saved for this show. This is how much money you saved on fuel by using battery products. So that's what I do in a nutshell. Of course, there's ins and outs. There's a whole lot of psychology involved. Yeah, each show by show, I'm trying to make the world a better place.
Hey,
and I'm I'm sure there's some shows that are probably more like, this is overwhelming than others. Like, let's say Stranger Things, for instance. I'm sure that's like, okay, this is.
Yeah. Well,
I couldn't imagine.
Netflix, I worked for HBO when they were in town, and you can imagine they had all the money in the world because they were here doing The Last of Us season 2, and I had to be the sustainability coordinator, which felt like a sick joke. The studio comes into town with all the money, and of course they're buying all the big toys, and they're buying all the trailers, and they're getting all the cranes, and they want 20 generators running at any given time. And they literally built an entire village in Squamish. And so I was left with the aftermath of deciding where all that stuff went. So, the paradigm is shifting, though. I think as we realize that fossil fuels are literally burning out, we have to change how we power our sets. So better now than later. I think a famous quote is like, the two best times to plant, the first best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. So I think people are slowly starting to wake up. There's a finite amount of oil left in the world, and it's in our lifetime is when we're going to run out of oil. It's in like 40 years or something. So slowing the end of that is my job, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm guessing everything's going solar powered.
Solar powered, yeah. Solar powered circuses, solar powered bathrooms. We've got electric workshops. Yeah.
Yeah, because with batteries, I mean, in my civilian job, I work on cars at body shops and stuff, so I do a lot of your radar systems, aiming on your what's your blind spot monitors, backup cameras, so on and so forth. So we work on a lot of Teslas and a lot of other hybrid and battery powered vehicles. And I'm like, at some point, we're going to run out of. I forget the name of the mineral they use for the batteries right off the top of my head, but
Lithium?
yeah, there you go. It's like we're going to. How long are we going to be able to mine lithium until we run out of
I
that?
know. It's a catch-22. And you know what happens with a dead battery? We send it to Thailand. There's these graveyards full of lithium batteries that they try to strip and repurpose and reuse, but we've traded in one problem for another one. So it's like, I mean, hydrogen is actually the newest product that's slowly kind of coming into the game. So we'll see how far that takes us. Because yeah, I agree. The lithium battery solution is just a band-aid. It's it's kind of no better.
Yeah, and then you got all these charging stations everywhere that are just gaudy looking or whatnot. And to each their own. But I'm like, I get fuel and that kind of stuff. Been working on engines pretty much my whole life. I get it. It pollutes the environment, water systems, and all kinds of stuff. But so does lithium too. When we try to dispose of it, it poisons the environment as well. When you go and throw it in landfills and stuff. I mean, those Teslas, if the whole bottom of it is just one giant lithium battery. So when that goes, where are you throwing it at? And like you said, you're right, they're taking it to Thailand. Okay, well, when it gets to Thailand, what are you doing with it in Thailand?
Yeah.
You're either repurposing it or you're burying it somewhere out in the middle of nowhere. And then it's getting into the groundwater and then people are drinking it. And I don't think lithium was meant to be drunk, but no, it might be tasty. Who knows? It's just like we have so many other ways, like solar power, like Steve said, hydrogen. I don't know. Could we go back to steam engines?
Yeah.
Hey, you never know.
And there's my Captain Planet rant, but I'm a guy that drives a Chevy Camaro, so I can't really say anything. Am I really helping the environment? Probably not really.
There's worse things, I think. I don't know.
So, Steve, where are you at in terms of the movie? You said you were done with the editing and so on and so forth, or are you still in the midst of all that?
Oh no, it's done. I'm in the midst of getting paperwork and working with my graphic artist Joe Lawrence to get certain promo type stuff ready, all kinds of different materials that are going to be needed to market this movie coming up here, because that's the next step, marketing. After once we get a distribution deal signed, we want to make sure that it actually makes some money if possible. That would be great, right? So we're going to be meeting with the distributor next week. At least I think next week. He hasn't got back to me with the day yet, but we're probably going to meet at some point next week and try to iron out all the details and see what kind of marketing strategy they have, and give them some of our ideas as far as what we think we should do. And it's just it's this time now. It's that post-production stage is over. We have a completed film. In fact, I really should update our IMDb to say that the film's been completed. It's been in post-production for over a year now, so but yeah, it is done, and it's just all this stuff. I kind of like the marketing kind of stuff, but a lot of this paperwork I have to get filled out and stuff is definitely not my kind of thing. A lot of the clearance checks and whatnot that I have to do, that's because I'm just chasing down people to get stuff, at the end of the day, and more money I have to spend, and I have to know this, the certain things that I would have never have thought about, but you have to do it. So I'm here to do it. Yeah.
Are you gonna be able to have it on like Amazon to be able to rent it or buy a copy
that
of
kind
it?
of thing is probably, but I don't know for sure. It's that's in the distributor's hands.
Gotcha.
They probably have plans on where they're going to how they're going to, what streaming services it's going to be on. Is it going to be available on like some physical media and all that kind of stuff. So I mean, at the end of the day, that kind of stuff is a little bit out of my hands. I can only make suggestions. Obviously, we have to fulfill the Indiegogo perks for DVDs and Blu-rays and VHS. So that'll be on me. The distributor has no part in that part of it. So that'll all be me working with the manufacturer that we've worked with in the past. Although I've been told that they don't manufacture outside of US now, so I might have to find an international manufacturer for Blu-rays and DVDs and stuff. But we'll get that sorted out when we get there.
And that's probably getting more scarce now, isn't it? Because of digital.
Maybe I don't know, but we'll make it work one way or the other. That's for sure.
I've noticed. Well, I've noticed VHS has been making a bounce back. I see a lot of people collecting those, and cassettes too for bands. I see a lot of bands now selling cassettes again. It's like, wow, we're just like, we're kind of going in rewind. What was standard for us is like cool to these kids now.
Yeah.
It's like
retro's all the rage.
Oh yeah.
Yes. It's like, dude, I got
nostalgia is such a thing now.
Look at this. It's called an 8-track. And VCRs are expensive because I have a collection but I don't have a big one, but it's just mostly ones that held a special place in my heart as a kid. And I went to buy a VCR the other day and I was like, whoa, these things are way more expensive now than they were in the 80s and 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Like people are selling them for like $400 or $500. I was like, geez, dude. It's like I wish I'd have held on to mine. Now I could have sold it.
Oh man, there you go.
But yeah, it's just weird how these kids get so super excited over it now. And I mean, it's cool to me because I don't know, it's just something about watching those old movies on an old VHS tape. And you get that aesthetic of the grainy footage, and every now and then you see some little static here and there, maybe a little tracking issue here and there. It just takes you back to a better time of plopping down and watching a movie. Just my take on it.
Yeah, 100%.
But like, still to this day, Blade Runner is one of my top 5 all-time favorite movies, and something about watching it on VHS compared to my Blu-ray copy, it's just not the same. Not the same.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So Adam and Emily, what else have you all got going on in terms of outside of like your Netflix and your, cannabis and stuff? Is there anything, other projects you got coming down the pipe that you want to promote?
Well, right now we're in production on a little Twitch Productions short film. It's kind of thriller sci-fi. I'll give away a little bit. It's a bug movie, and it should be kind of fun to film that. We're tightening up the script. We're finalizing some pieces of equipment. We're pretty much self-funding this one, and our goal is just to have something to start sending out to festivals for next year. That's really the goal. I'd like to get it shot before, hopefully, the end of the summer, because on the other side of our lives, it looks like we may be expanding our business into a different state. So I'm finding myself having to take road trips to go look at places to lease, to do business. So a lot to squeeze in.
Thanks,
about you,
Michelle. I
Emily?
saw that comment.
Yeah, I've been a I was a reporter for a queer magazine news show, but I became a full-time co-host. And so yeah, another thing I do on the side is I am a host for Outlook TV. We air on channel 100. It's just really fun. It's a really good space to test drive my puns and my jokes. um, it's I've always dreamt of being a zingy host for a television show. So that's another outlet I've got. And then upcoming is in Vancouver. There's the Shits and Giggles Film Festival, and there's all these stipulations about this film fest. You have to create your film for under $250. So maybe Steve, you can help me with.
$250, huh?
I know,
Canadian
it's
or
amazing.
American? Can it be
Yeah,
American?
Canadian. But literally, one of the rules of this festival is to make your movie, all of your film gear has to fit inside of a Toyota Prius. That's literally on the website. And
I
so
could do that.
yeah, that is indie. So we're gearing up to participate in that festival as well. We've got some ideas floating around. This year's theme is strangers. So trying to foster my creative juices for this little 5-minute short that we're now doing. So
Well,
I've
I
got a
don't
full
know about
plate.
that, Emily, but back in 2019, I did make a short film for about $250. Is
I believe
roughly
it.
that. And it actually did win a couple of awards at some minor festivals. So it can be done. The worst thing about it, though, the sound was not that great. I don't know if Paul is still in the chat, but he was part of that filming experience, and it had some similarities to Unseen. I guess it's just kind of my style, the mystique. It had a very big mental health kind of theme to it, which was kind of cool. And it was just one location, though. We shot over 2 days. I made all the food on set. I was making dinners for everybody at the location and everything, so. And they like the food. I guess I'm not that bad of a cook, but I think the sound was probably the worst element of the film. But it looked not bad for a movie shot for just $250. I did not have insurance, though. I hate to even admit that, but I had no insurance. I thought there's nothing that could ever go wrong on a film like this made for $250. And obviously, when you're making a movie for $250, how are you going to pay for insurance? But anyways, but the thing is, when we made that movie, at the end of the first night of filming, one of the camera guys got stung by a hornet, and he had a bad reaction to it, and ended up in the hospital. So
oh my God.
the only time I ever filmed without insurance, this happens. And it was like, thankfully he didn't, file a claim or anything like that. But it was like, okay, I've learned my lesson. I'm never doing that again. So.
Yeah. His name is Murphy Law, and he comes and he'll show you a thing or two.
But I'm still surprised how often I hear people don't get any kind of insurance on these films. It
probably one of them situations. Just as soon as he gets stung, all of a sudden, every accident lawyer in the world is going, "I feel a great disturbance in the force," just waiting for a call.
Well, I got lucky there. I'll just say that I got lucky, but lesson learned. It's don't not get insurance. You got to get insurance.
Yeah, agreed.
Was that the movie that you did about the guy that he ran out of his medication and stuff? And okay,
yeah, there you go.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's all you're going to get from me. If you all want to know the rest of the story, it's on Steve's YouTube channel.
Yeah, I don't think I ever removed that from my YouTube channel. But yeah, it's
what was the name of it again?
Disorder.
Yep. Yeah. It's got a twist ending to it. I think everybody would like it.
Oh, but Yeah.
Well, that's
little bit of
ironic that your film was called Disorder and all that stuff happened. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Hey, at the end
Disorder.
of the day, we made a nearly 10-minute, just under 10-minute film for $250. There's not a lot of not a lot of people that can do that, So unless you're going around with a handy cam and hey, we got a fake knife here, we'll just play around with that, and they're just running around with it. No actual technical. You can't make movies, and you can't have that kind of money and actually call it a movie. I think at the end of the day, but I don't know. We pulled off something that wasn't terrible, that's for sure. But I do wish the audio was a little better. We had a microphone. We just didn't have a capable sound recordist that knew what he was doing. We just clicked record on the microphone, and sometimes you had actually pretty good audio, and other times not so much, But live and learn.
Yeah. Audio is really important, and it's so expensive.
Oh, it is super important.
Yeah.
Super expensive.
People will sit through a bad movie if it has good sound, but if people will not sit through a bad movie with bad sound.
I agree. So
It's like one I watched not too long ago. It was called Velocipaster. It's one of the craziest, I'm sorry, guys. It's one of the most terrible movies I've ever watched, but I couldn't stop watching it. It was like watching a car wreck over and over again. But it was about this pastor that gets bit by something or gets a curse put on him. It's kind of like a werewolf movie, except he turns to a dinosaur. But he's a pastor.
Yeah.
Lots of pastors.
Wow.
And the dinosaur reveal at the end is everything you could hope for. It just completely summed up the whole movie. It was one of those inflatable raptor costumes that you see on YouTube all the time. Yeah. And he was fighting ninjas. So that just was like a big old dollop of whipped cream on the shit sundae that was that movie. So
it almost sounds like Jesus Christ Superstar.
Yeah. Yeah, their flashback to Vietnam in that movie was great too, because you could tell it was in somebody's backyard in like the middle of the Appalachians or something. I mean, it was. I couldn't stop watching. It was great. It's highly suggested to everybody. You should just take a swing. It says Kaylee Bishop.
Hey, Kaylee.
Saying, hi, Steve.
Hello.
Kaylee was the 911 operator.
Yeah, she does a voiceover in our film as well. Yes.
Oh, very cool.
Yes. 911 operator. Oh boy, we spoiled the film now. Somebody called 911 at some point.
Spoilers.
No, I don't know. We had a bunch of different voiceovers actually. Some bigger than others, and yeah, I ended up having more voiceovers than I thought we were going to end up having, but they worked, and we realized that some of these were kind of necessary. So worked out pretty good.
You had Brett Wagner in the film too, didn't you?
Yeah, he did a voiceover. There you go. His is one of the bigger voiceovers, not as big as Adam's, obviously, but he's got a pretty good voiceover in the movie. I won't spoil it.
For a lot of people,
the only thing I'll spoil about Brett Wagner is that he plays the father of the protagonist.
And a lot of other people. Yeah. And a lot of people don't know this, but he was also a Leatherface. He was part of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre universe. So
there was, yeah.
Which movie was it again?
The 2003 remake.
Was that the one with McConaughey?
No, not the one with
McConaughey. It wasn't. No. McConaughey was 2000, wasn't 99, 2000, somewhere in there?
A little bit earlier than that. I think it was like 95. It was before McConaughey got really famous.
Yeah, it was right after he did
Zellweger.
He did that movie with Richard Linklater, Dazed and Confused.
It was, I believe it was filmed before Dazed and Confused, but released after Dazed and Confused because I think they that Texas Chainsaw Massacre film was put on hold for quite a while, and I think it was actually Renee Zellweger who her agents were trying to put it on, make sure it never got released because she was a rising star from Jerry Maguire at the time. and I guess they really didn't want that movie to be released because it was quite bad. It was, it was not a good film. I mean, it's not. I mean, some people hate that the most in the franchise. I would say there's a couple others I hate a little bit more than that one, but anyways, yeah. So it was kind of it was kind of shelved for a few years, I think.
It's love hate with me, but to tell you the truth, McConaughey blowed me away in that movie because he could play. I didn't think he had it in him, but to play a psychopath the way he did, I was like, if he hadn't been in the movie, that movie would have been just 100% unwatchable. But to me, that his character in that just stole the movie to me. I mean, and if you would have taken Texas Chainsaw Massacre out of it and just had it revolved around him as its own IP, I think it would have totally worked.
Probably. But, it did what it did. And, there hasn't been a lot of great films in that franchise, if I'm being honest, but, just my opinion, of course. But I love the original.
Even Toby missed the mark in his sequel. He got a little too funny, with it, so. But some people like part 2.
Some people like it. I don't, but a lot of people do. So, it's all good. It's all good. And Kim Henkel missed the mark with the one we're talking about, Next Generation. Because they were both the filmmakers of the original, and they, it's almost like I really kind of feel like the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre was kind of a fluke to a point. Like neither of them could do it again. It was lightning in a bottle. It just happened to be all the right people and the right things came together for that movie. So it's definitely, you have to give credit where credit's due. Like the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre is everybody who was involved made that movie. It wasn't just Toby Hooper and Kim Henkel. Sure, they get credit, but you got to give credit to all the actors, and you got to give credit to the makeup artists and the set design, the cinematographer Daniel Pearl. Right? I mean, all these people deserve huge credit for that film because it's a totally different film if you didn't have them involved. So
yeah.
And it's proof.
I mean, when you look at the history of us. When you look at a history of slasher genre, I mean, you got to go Psycho for actually perfecting it. But when you look at Texas Chainsaw Massacre, that was the first slasher where you had that over-the-top antagonist that would lead to a Michael Myers, into a Jason Voorhees, into a Ghostface. That it just not just regular Norman Bates dude that had mommy issues. You had this almost Frankenstein monster with a knife that just looked cool, but you didn't necessarily want to go hang out with him.
Exactly.
I don't know. To me, Texas Chainsaw Massacre was kind of many things. It was psychological. It was slasher. It was, I would almost call it dancing on the edge of being a found footage.
Yeah.
It kind of right on that razor's edge of being a found footage film.
Yeah.
Because they really had people believing that there was this cannibalistic family in Texas eating people. I still remember my mom even telling me that to scare me as a kid, that don't go to Texas, because I remember like my aunt Marguerite and my Uncle Mac went to Texas, and she was telling me like, yeah, they're going to go down there and Leatherface is going to get them. And I'm like, oh, I'm like 6 or 7 years old, scared that my aunt and uncle were going to get turned into ground chuck or something. So it was just people.
What did you say earlier? I think you said people sausage earlier.
Yeah, that's what it was. People sausage.
To answer your question, Brett Wagner is in the film.
Yeah.
But how we went from Brett Wagner to all, but yeah, it's great though. It's great. Brett is awesome. I'm glad we could have him do this this role. And when he actually reached out to me after the Sawyer Massacre, and he heard that I was getting ready to do this movie. He actually reached out to me and said, "I want a part in your film." And immediately I because I had heard him on many podcasts in the past, and I knew his voice was going to be right for this specific role. So I said, "Sure, man, you got the role. Just this is what it is, and here you go." It was a no-brainer for me to have him attached to this movie, and the fact that he actually reached out to me and said, "Boy, I like what you did with the Sawyer Massacre," and obviously he must be a pretty big Texas Chainsaw Massacre fan as well. Having seen my fan film and wanting to be a part of what I do next. That was kind of a special moment for me. So thank you, Brett. I doubt you're watching this, but I'll share it with you after. You'll see my shout out to you. Brett's a good guy. Brett's definitely a good guy. Does a lot of cons.
Yeah. I mean, he's killing that con circuit. Every time I see him on social media, he's posting about a con. So it's like him, Nancy Ann Ritter, who played in the '96 Scream, Lenora. I'm gonna probably butcher her last name. Scafalo. It's an Italian last name. That's all I know. And I'm sorry if I butchered it. But like them three and Tony Moran, for those that don't know, was the face of Michael Myers without the mask in Halloween in '78. Them four are like just raking in them con dollars, just big time out there, just getting it in on that con circuit.
A lot of them probably didn't make big money when they were in the films, the respective films that they were in. I mean, because none of them were really kind of like, I know Brett was only on set for like a couple days on the 2003 remake because he got heat exhaustion, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but ask him. I'm pretty sure he said he actually had heat exhaustion, which you can kind of understand when you look at the costume Leatherface wore in that movie. But yeah, so he was only on set for a couple days, but yeah, I mean, doing the cons, he's still getting out there. Hey, there's Nate. He's in our film too. Another person that's in our film. Thank you so much there, Nate. I'm glad you get to tune in. Say hi to your mom for me. Maybe she's watching too. Oh, we lost Emily. Oh no.
No. Emily.
It happens.
Where'd you go?
It's all part of the show, everybody. This was meant to happen.
Stick around for the encore. My mic's not coming in too loud, is it?
You're fine on my end, John.
Yeah, it keeps saying that I'm peeking out. I'm like, I don't see how you all would have let me know if I was peeking out.
Not as far as I can hear.
I don't know. Probably just computers. Whatever.
Oh, Adam, you have to go?
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess I don't know if Emily's coming back, but thank you, Adam, for joining me on this. And hopefully,
Thank you for having me, guys. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Thank you for your service, my friend.
Oh, thank you. I just went over there and did a job and got lucky and made it home.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very, I don't know. People try to say, "Oh, you were a hero." I'm like, no, I wasn't no hero. I was just a guy that went over there, did a job, and didn't get killed doing it. The real heroes were the ones that we sit at home in boxes. That's or got injured really bad.
Oh,
I hear you.
thank you.
All right. Good night.
Good night, everyone. Take care.
Okay.
Good night, Ed. Nice seeing you again, bud.
I'm going to step out, guys. This has been great.
All right, Adam. I do appreciate you coming on. It was nice meeting you, sir.
Likewise.
And good luck on all future endeavors.
Thank you.
All right.
Take care, guys. Make sure to follow us, and hopefully everybody gets to see Unseen.
Yes. See Unseen.
That's the tagline. There you go. Yoda man some money for your tagline.
No kidding. Good stuff. All right.
See.
There we go. Well, thanks for having me on, John. I don't know if Emily's planning on coming back in, or maybe she just had to go. I don't know.
Or she lost connection.
It's all good.
Yeah.
think
She
she's
didn't wave
recovered.
by, so I think it just dropped her for whatever reason.
It must
Sorry.
have. Did she text me? No.
Hope it wasn't on my end that it happened.
I've heard this happens on StreamYard, so don't worry about it, man. All right. Well, thanks so much for having me, John.
You would think it wouldn't happen with me because I pay them $40 a month. So
that's no good then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to pay them $40 a month to use your own assets and stuff. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
Tax right off at the end of the year.
I just do the free version when I do my live streams. I don't add all the different stuff, and I know that the sound isn't as good, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, I'm glad you reached out to me and said, "Hey, let's do this thing," and because I needed a good kick in the butt to kind of get back to doing this again.
Yeah,
Feel good to kind of stretch my legs out again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just have fun doing it, and everything will be good. Yeah.
Looking forward to moving. That way I can get my passport and maybe come up to BC and spend a week or so and hang out with everybody.
That'd be great.
Go to a Canucks game or an Abbotsford game, whichever.
Abbotsford game. I've never been to an Abbotsford. Abbotsford, what is the team that they have? I don't even know.
They have, well, you all have the Kelowna Rockets.
Yeah.
Rockets. Okay. So Abbotsford has the Canucks. They're the Canucks minor league team.
Oh, well, there you go.
So the Kelowna Rockets, you all are affiliated with the Calgary Flames, and Abbotsford's affiliated with the Vancouver Canucks.
No,
they're they played in the Calder Cup final today, so they're actually in the finals. Something that we can't seem to get the Canucks to do for whatever reason.
Not for a while. Couldn't even make the playoffs this year.
It's either good or good and terrible.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh well.
But I appreciate you coming on, man. It's nice catching up with you. Kind of missed talking with you, man. It's been a while.
For sure. Definitely missed
it. It's been a rough couple of months for me. I just got over COVID 2 weeks ago. I had it for a second go around. The second time was not fun. It was actually worse than the first.
Sure.
And personal life, my daughter ended up losing her grandchild. She had a miscarriage. So,
oh, that's too bad.
That was kind of rough. So there's that.
Oh,
and Alexi says, "Bye, guys. Thanks for sharing, Adam. Thanks for hanging out with us."
Yeah, thanks a lot, Alexi. Have a good night.
Thanks to everybody that hung out with us. It was nice. I'm so used to doing my live streams later, and then nobody shows up, and then I'm like, duh, because everybody's asleep in the actual continental United States while I'm out here floating in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah, you got it. I think you're 3 hours earlier than I am.
Yep, and 5-6 hours from the East Coast.
Yeah. So there you go. That must be difficult. You got to do. You're still in the afternoon, and we're in the evening. It's 7:38 here right now. So, and I'm in the Pacific time zone. So
that's part of the reason why I want to move back. Is because I want to be able to network. I want to be able to go to cons and actually, do like a live stream while I'm at the con and just travel around. It's getting too expensive over here, Steve. It's getting a little rough over here. So
understandable, man. I've always wanted to go to Hawaii, but it's probably better to visit rather than to live there. I don't know.
Great place to visit, and it's not a bad place to live. I mean, I've made tons of great friends over here, people I'll call friend for the rest of my life. And some have become almost like family, like you. I consider you and the gang and most of your indie film crew like family to me. So, family ain't always blood. I've got a bunch of nieces and nephews over here. Somehow every time I go outside, I get called uncle. So I end up it's a cultural thing over here. It's like a term of endearment, which is like a respect of their elders. So if the kids over here start calling you uncle, you're good.
Yeah, there
You've
you
been
go.
accepted by the neighborhood. But yeah, but it's just time for me to go. My dad's not getting younger. He's getting up in years and his health ain't been all that great.
I hear you.
And I just miss home. And I'm not getting any younger myself. I'll be 50 next year. So there's that.
Yeah.
I'm 5 years from that free McDonald's coffee.
There you go. There you go. Free is always good,
The man.
though, right?
Yeah.
But yeah. Getting older, not so much, though.
That, and I want to get some Timbits again and some poutine.
Oh, man. I've started laying off the poutine, man, because I can just feel it. It's affecting my health. We go to Costco. Every time we go to Costco, we get like poutine there, and it's just, I love it, but at the same time, I can just tell it's not going to do me any favors. So I'm trying to lay off of it these days.
The damnedest thing over here. I went into Walmart the other day, and I kid you not, in their frozen food section, they actually had Canadian food, and that was frozen, and they had poutine. And I bought it, and I brought it home, and no, it's not the same. But
it's frozen. That's kind of,
yeah, but it hit the spot of fat boy craving fat boy food. So, but yeah, I've lost every Saturday's my cheat day. So that was one of my cheat meals. I've lost close to 80 pounds already.
Hey, that's pretty good. It's more than I have. I keep gaining weight, so I got to get there soon. I got to start losing weight.
Yeah, well, I was almost 300 pounds, and I'm down to about 220. So,
wow.
When your doctor looks at you and says, if you don't stop, you're going to have a heart attack before you're 55, I was like, okay, what do I need to do, doc?
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. Yeah, blood pressure was bad, cholesterol, all that. So, kids, if you're out there and you're watching this, eat like you don't care now, because when you get to me, mine and Steve's age, metabolism is a fairy tale. It doesn't exist anymore. It goes away. Big time. So enjoy it now while you can.
Yeah, enjoy it all while you can. I miss those days.
I used to be able to pound a whole pizza by myself, wouldn't gain a pound.
Yeah, I was talking to my wife about that. Like when we first met, I used to eat double what I eat now. Double.
Now I stare at junk food and gain weight.
Exactly.
So I look at a Twinkie, I can feel my thighs get bigger. Well, all right, man. It was nice talking to you again.
Yeah, it was great.
Have to do this again sometime.
Yeah, let's set up that Star Wars chat whenever.
Yep.
Let's
do it.
Get a couple of Star Wars nerds on with us, and we'll do a chat. I want to chat about like Andor and everything like that, since that series is over now.
Maybe I can get Scotty on, because Scotty's a Star Wars nerd. Maybe I can get him out of the basement or wherever he's hiding. I don't never see him anymore.
Yeah, I never see him anymore either. I don't know what happened to him. He's kind of
and no disrespect, but that's a big man to lose.
Mm-hmm. Certainly is.
I love you, Scotty. If you ever watch this, I love you, man. You're a good dude.
Emily said she had to get back to work, so she said, please give my farewells to everybody.
Okay.
And apologies for ditching out.
Yeah, no worries, Emily. No worries. Hey, I know what it's like. I'm off vacation next week, and I got to go back to my regular job too. Not looking forward to it.
It happens.
This week vacation was like, oh, so this is what retirement's supposed to feel like. It's
There
like,
you go.
tease me. Well, all right, man. It was nice seeing you again, and nice everybody that came and hung out with us. Hung out. There you go. Proper grammar, John. Proper grammar. Came and hung out with us, and for all the people that asked questions and participated, thank you very much. It was nice getting my feet wet again in this, and actually realizing I missed it. I did. I missed it. Missed chatting with my buddy and all of y'all. So maybe I'll get back to just making content again and not caring.
Yeah,
just
do that.
do it.
Do it as you feel like doing it too. Don't worry about having a schedule. Oh, I got to release this type of content this day, and people put daily schedules out of what they put on. And I think that's a little over the top.
That's hard for me to do, considering I work a regular 9-to-5 job. So,
so just do it as you want to, and it'll be good. Excuse me.
Yeah, I feel you. Pop wants a nap too, but I got to go cook dinner.
I've had dinner already. It's getting close to bedtime here, I guess, which is weird for me to say that because it's not even 8:00. But that's how you know I'm getting older. But it is what it is, right?
I'm making chimichurri pork with asparagus and mushrooms and zucchini.
Sounds delicious.
Yeah, I can sling a little bit in the kitchen when I try.
There you go.
But all right, man. Hey, and everybody, the Unseen Indiegogo is still up. I will put the link in the description of this live stream. So anybody out there wants to give to this film, believe me, Steve will gladly accept your donations because this movie has cost my man quite a bit of money out of his own pocket. So
and
we are going to be
doing I should mention we are going to be doing a finishing funds campaign. We're aiming for June 24th to get that started. So look for that, a finishing funds campaign. So we'll still leave the existing one up though, so you guys can keep that. But we're going to kind of change. We're going to change some of the perks a bit, and so some of the perks that are on the existing campaign are going to be moved over to the finishing funds campaign, and so on and so forth. So that they'll both have more or less different perks. So if you want a certain perk, you're going to have to check out which one has the perk you want.
Every little bit helps, guys. So
it sure does.
I think your perks go from $5 on up to a little over $1,000. So if you want to be an actual producer, you're going to have to fork out some cake because that's the more expensive one. So, but Steve's,
it gets these movies made, and we've got it made, but now it's now at this point it's getting it distributed. So.
But here's simple math. If 1,000 of you buy a $5 perk, then
there you go. That covers my E&O insurance that I'm going to need to get. But it still doesn't cover the MPAA rating and the title report. Oh my God, the expenses are crazy. I never expected that, but that's okay. Got to do it. I have to get this movie out in the world. That's all I know is I got to get this movie out there. I've come too far to not get it out now. So, and I know that some people don't do some of these things. I've heard people say they don't get the E&O insurance and they don't get the title report and all these things that you're supposed to get.
You're playing with fire.
I'm not somebody who wants to play with fire. I did that, like I mentioned that one time, didn't get the production insurance, and geez, it almost came back to bite me in the ass. And it's like, okay, lesson learned. I'm not a gambler at the end of the day, and I'm going to do whatever my attorney tells me to do. So
yes,
that's what I gotta do.
Am I the biggest fan of insurance companies? No. because to me, it's basically legal money laundering, so to speak. But when it comes to if you're making a movie and say you have a person on set that something falls on or they get a extremity cut off, God forbid, you would much rather the insurance company handle it than you having to go to court, and then the next thing you know, you're upside down and your movie's not going to get made because all your money went to paying off the person that got hurt on your set.
Exactly.
So
yeah, just it makes sense, guys. There you
couple
go.
of grand here is better than $1 million after a court case.
No kidding. There you go.
And then your whole film career is ruined until now into eternity.
Don't want that. At least I don't.
We're all right, buddy. I'm going to get out of here and go play Emerald Lagasse or whatever popular shifters, Bobby Flay or whoever in the kitchen. And it's nice catching up with you again. And again,
Sure.
Thanks everybody for coming by and hanging out with us. And thanks to Adam and to Emily for stopping by. It was great to meet them and hope to have them on again sometime in the future. Especially Emily. I'd like to know about the inner workings of Netflix. I don't know. I'm a nerd for that kind of stuff, of how that works.
Yeah. There you go.
But like I said, Steve, go help him out with his movie. The Indiegogo is still rolling. Put the link in there. I think that about covers it. I'll get back to making content again. Sorry, Pop's been busy. I had a lot of personal stuff going on, and just burnout happens. And but I'll get back to doing it again. It's funny. I was actually gaining more subscribers while I wasn't doing content. It's like,
that's funny.
I was like, wow, maybe I should just stay away and I'll get that YouTube play button.
There you go. That's awesome.
But yeah, I still appreciate everybody that still showed love to the channel, whoever you all are out there, even if I wasn't putting out stuff. And I got a few things. Me and Luke are back doing a podcast again. I've actually got the first episode right here in my hand.
Oh, wow.
We changed up our dynamic a little bit. We're now doing conspiracy theories, weird news stories, cryptids, and stuff like that. That's the kind of stuff we're leaning into now.
Very cool.
So if you like that kind of stuff with two dummies that are like in their 50s or close to 50, but acting like teenagers, then we're for you.
Awesome.
So it's going to be called Two Guys, No Clue. That's going to be the name of the pod.
Good name for Two Guys, No Clue. There you go. Love it.
We're going to come at you like we might know what we're talking about, but we really don't. So there's that. But buddy, again, you've always been a dear friend to me. I appreciate your friendship. All started over a simple email in 2020 where you were like, I saw his article on a news story on Bloody Disgusting. Canadian filmmaker is making a Texas Chainsaw Massacre prequel. And I was like, sold. Somebody's actually going. And it said first Texas Chainsaw Massacre to be shot in Texas since the OG. I was like, this guy sounds cool. I like him already. And then I sent him a text message or an email, and then I bought the perk to have an interview with you. And here we are 5 years later.
Still doing interviews.
Yeah.
God knows how many now. I don't know.
You've been on more. You and the Iron City Paranormal guys have been the most that's been on my channel.
Wow, there you go. Who would have thought?
And yeah, I need to get the Iron City Paranormal guys back on. I like talking to them because that kind of stuff interests me. That's that ghost hunting and paranormal. So, and people seem to enjoy it. So
exactly. There you go.
All right, buddy. I've yap. And if I don't shut up, I never will. So Again, everybody, thank you for joining us. Go support Steve's film. I'll be making new content. Got a new podcast that's coming out. Look, if you're coming on it for educational purposes, I'm just going to tell you right now, don't. It's just two dummies talking about things that they have no clue about. Hence the name of Two Guys No Clue. And I'll get back to doing some movie stuff. I want to really just concentrate on the indie stuff. I want to start helping you guys as much as I can.
That's awesome.
Because I don't see too many channels that concentrate strictly on the indie horror scene. And I figured that's a niche that I can plug myself into. And I've already got a good network. I'm friends with just about all you all that do films on this side of the house, the non-SAG side.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. That's awesome. Yeah, lots of great stuff coming out. That's for sure. Did you see my last show where I talked about that new Texas Chainsaw Massacre fan film? I can't remember if you saw that one or if you were in the chat.
No, I missed that show because I help out at my church with their streaming and their stuff. So I do my own and then I help out my church with theirs. So I think that night that you did that, we had a concert for our choir and they had me up there helping out with the lighting and sound and so forth. So sorry, I missed that one.
No, it's okay. But yeah, go check that movie out if you get a chance.
What's it called?
Oh man, this is the Slaughter. I can't remember exactly. The Slaughter Family or something like that. It's a feature-length Texas Chainsaw Massacre fan film. It's like the only other one since Sawyer Massacre. So, yeah, I can't quite remember. I'll send you the link. I'll send you the link because I do have it somewhere. So, I talked about it quite extensively in that, and then talked a little bit about a possible new Texas Chainsaw Massacre coming out, which we may or I don't know. There's like a bidding war or something going on now for the rights. So anyway, so we talked about that a little bit, but yeah. Anyways,
yeah, I know Blumhouse is trying to get their hands on it, like everything else here lately.
I heard A24 was like the front runners. That's what I heard. But
if A24 gets it, then it's got hope. Blumhouse, I've kind of lost all hope in because it seems like lately he's sold out to the big Hollywood machine. Used to, it seemed like Blumhouse were making their movies out of the joy of making them, and ever since they did their Halloween movies, it was like, man, what happened to you guys? You all completely missed the mark.
Something changed with them, that's for sure. That's all I know. Yeah.
It's like you all did Paranormal Activity. Yeah, it's like they did Paranormal Activity, and then after that, they did some other movies, and then they just completely forgot what got them to the dance. And I was like, these Halloween movies are not good. They're not. The first one, yeah, because they played it safe. It was basically just Halloween 1978 all over again, pretty much, and yeah, to an extent, but I mean, they played it relatively safe. And then that third one out of all of them, I refused to watch again because it wasn't Halloween. It was just what I call it. Boo! It's Corey. It was about this kid Corey who gets infected by Michael Myers and becomes the new Michael Myers. And I'm like, what are you doing? What in the world is this?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. After Halloween 4, I just don't watch him anymore.
Yeah, after Donald Pleasance passed away, I was like, done. Yeah. Season of the Witch is still good. It still plays well. Shout out to Michelle Blasky, third channel.
I don't know if she's still around, but yeah, I love Season of the Witch. It still has its haters though, because no Michael, but that's okay. You're never going to please those people.
If you go back and actually look at Carpenter's original concept for Halloween, it was supposed to be like the Twilight Zone. It was supposed to be a collection of films that were based on different stories that were centered around Halloween.
Yeah.
And the studio wanted to ride that Michael Myers train for all it was worth.
Yeah.
So Carpenter didn't want to do that. He just was like, I just want to do the first film and then I want to do something else.
Yeah. Oh well.
You know,
You know.
it's like Friday the 13th. First four were, to me, they were good. I like 6 because I thought C.J. Graham did a good job playing Jason. Being it's Friday the 13th, I'll say it. 6 was up there for me, but the first 4, I think after the first 4, you should have just been done.
Yeah. Been a while since I've seen those movies. I'll be honest. I'm not the biggest Friday the 13th fan. The first one is still probably my favorite of all of them. But you know, they all have their I know that 6 has a big fan base and 4 has a big fan base, but I don't know. I'm really just I like the original. I kind of like the second one a little bit. I like the sackhead Jason.
6 wasn't even scary. It was more of a horror comedy. It was just a complete. To me, it just felt like a spoof, a horror, like a scary movie almost.
Yeah,
because everything was just so outlandish in it.
Yeah,
I never found anything scary about it. And even the first appearance of Kane Hodder in Part 7, that was. I mean, I know everybody holds Kane Hodder up there as the greatest Jason, but to me, he's not. You know, I think there was actors that came before him that did it much better.
There you go.
I can't remember the name of the actor, but you referenced it, the Sack Kid. I forget his name right offhand, but the way he moved and the way he emoted with his movements and everything, to me, was the best out of all of them. Even with the sack on his head, you could tell when he was mad. You could tell if he was hurt. You could sense all those things without seeing his face.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, but to each their own at the end of the day, you know, Friday the 13th it never was my franchise. Jason wasn't wasn't for me really, you know. But you know, you ask most people, they'll say that Jason is the greatest. And hey, that's okay. We all have our preferences.
Yeah, he was the most marketed, I guess, is why you know, him. Michael Myers was a close second.
Freddie.
Freddie. Yeah. Even Freddie, as much as I love Robert Englund, Freddie wasn't. You know. I think the first film was awesome. And then the second film, okay. But then after that, it was like, okay, where are we going with this? How many times are we going to kill Freddy until he's finally done? You know? And
yeah. But they all have a shelf life at the end of the day, I think, you know. You can't keep bringing these people back before they get stale, you know. So anyways. That's just my thinking of it. You know, they lose their appeal after a certain length, you know, because you can't make the same movie over and over again. You have to do something different, and then that gets to where the filmmakers decide, well, we have to do something different. So now we gotta, you know, give some backstory that is, you know, feels kind of unnecessary and forced, you know. So. Anyways, we've been trying to say goodbye for a while, and now I think we keep going down a different rabbit hole. But,
I've missed talking to you. All right, everybody, we're going to get the heck out of here. Again, go support Steve. The Indiegogo link will be in the description of this. I'm going to get back to making content. Love y'all. Thank you, buddy, for hanging out, and also thank you to Aaron.
Oh, Adam
and Emily.
Yeah.
Adam and Emily. I'm bad with names, man. I really am. So I apologize. So, yep. To Emily and Adam for stopping by. It was awesome meeting them. And nice chatting with you again, man. And we will see you again next time on Behind the Fiends.
We definitely will.
Yep. Steve will be back. Promise. Sure of it. All right, gang. See you later.